Hey friends, it's your teen and tween librarian Rebecca, and we're back for another episode of Bedtime Stories. Last episode we saw Axel get not only lost, but his lamp was destroyed, he hurt himself real badly, and he ended the chapter being in complete despair. It's kind of depressing. So tonight we are going to hear more of his story. Hopefully he'll be able to come out. But let's get right into chapter 28. Enjoy. Chapter 28. I hear voices. When I regained consciousness, my face was wet with tears. I cannot say how long I had been unconscious, for I no longer had any means of telling time. Never had any human being been so isolated or forsaken as I was then. After my fall, I had lost a great deal of blood, and I could feel that I was covered with it. How sorry I felt that I was not dead, and that ordeal still lay ahead of me. I did not want to think anymore, and, overwhelmed by pain, I rolled myself across to the foot of the opposite wall. I was just about to lose consciousness again, and hoping for complete annihilation, when a loud noise struck my ears. It was like a roll of thunder, and I could hear the sound waves gradually fading away in the distant depths of the abyss. Where could this noise come from? From some subterranean phenomenon, I imagined, such as an explosion of gas or the fall of some great pillar of the globe? I went on listening, in case the noise was repeated. A quarter of an hour went by. Silence reigned in the gallery. I could not hear even the beating of my own heart. All of a sudden, my ear, which happened to be resting against the wall, appeared to catch the sound of words, vague, indistinguishable, and remote, but nonetheless words. I gave a start. It's a hallucination, I thought. But no, listening more attentively, I definitely heard the murmur of voices, though I was too weak to make out what they were saying. Yet somebody was speaking. I was sure of that. For a moment, I was afraid that the words might be my own, brought back to me by an echo. Perhaps I'd cried out without knowing. I closed my lips tightly and laid my ear against the wall again. Yes, somebody's definitely speaking. Even when I dragged myself a few feet further along the wall, I could still hear distinctly. I managed to make out certain vague, strange, incomprehensible words, which reached me as if they'd been uttered in a whisper. The word "forlorad" was repeated several times in a sorrowful tone of voice. What did it mean? Who was speaking? Obviously either my uncle or Hans, but if I could hear them, they could hear me. "Help!" I cried with all my might. "Help!" I listened, straining my ears for some reply from the darkness, a shout, even a sigh. There was nothing to be heard. A few minutes went by. A whole world of ideas came crowding into my mind. It occurred to me that perhaps my weakened voice was unable to carry to my companions. "For it's they," I said to myself. "What other men could be 75 miles underground?" I listened again. Moving my ear about over the wall, I found a place where the voices seemed to sound most clearly. The word "forlorad" reached me again, followed by that roll of thunder which roused me from my lethargy. "No," I said, "no. It isn't through the rock that these voices are reaching me. The wall is solid granite, and the loudest explosion couldn't come through it. The noise is coming along the gallery itself by some peculiar acoustic effect." I listened once more, and this time I distinctly heard my name. It was my uncle who had pronounced it. He was talking to the guide, and "forlorad" was a Danish word. Then everything became clear to me. To make myself heard, I had to speak along the wall, which would conduct the sound of my voice just as a wire conducts electricity. But there was no time to lose. If my companion moved even a few steps away, the acoustic effect would be destroyed. I therefore drew close to the wall and, speaking as clearly as possible, said, "Uncle Liedenbrock." I waited in extreme anxiety. Sound does not travel very fast, and in a dense atmosphere, which does not increase its speed, but only its intensity. A few seconds, which seemed like centuries, went by, and at last these words reached me. "Axel! Axel, is that you?" "Yes, yes," I replied. "Where are you, my boy?" "Lost in absolute darkness." "But your lamp?" "It has gone out." "And the stream?" "Disappeared." "Axel, my boy, cheer up." "Wait a moment. I'm exhausted. I haven't the strength to reply, but speak to me." "Courage," my uncle went on. "Don't speak, but just listen to me. We've been up and down the gallery looking for you, all in vain. Oh, I've wept for you, my boy. Finally, thinking you were still somewhere on the Hansbach, we came back downstream firing our guns. Now, though our voices can meet, that is just an acoustic effect, and our hands cannot touch. But don't despair, Axel. It is already something to be able to hear each other." In the meantime, I had been thinking, and a little hope, faint as yet, returned to me. First of all, there was something I had to know. I put my lips close to the wall and said, "Uncle." "Yes, my boy," came the reply a few seconds later. "To begin with, we must know how far apart we are." "Well, that's easy." "You have your chronometer?" "Yes." "Well, take it and say my name, noting the exact second when you speak. I will repeat as soon as I hear it, and you will again note the exact second at which my reply reaches you." "Right, and half the time taken between my call and your reply will be the time my voice takes to reach you." "That's it, Uncle." "Are you ready?" "Yes." "Well, get ready. I'm going to call your name." I put my ear to the wall, and as soon as the name Axel reached me, I immediately replied, "Axel," and then waited. 40 seconds, said my uncle. 40 seconds went by between the two words, so sound takes 20 seconds to cover the distance between us. Now at 1,020 feet a second, that makes 20,400 feet, or just under 4 miles. 4 miles, I murmured. "Oh, that's not an impossible distance, Axel. But should I go up or down?" "Down, and I'll tell you why. We are in a huge cavern, with a great many galleries leading into it. The one you are in is sure to bring you there, because all these cracks and fissures seem to radiate from the cavern we are in. So, get up and start walking. Drag yourself along if need be, slide down the steep slopes, and find our arms ready to welcome you at the end. Now on your way, my boy, on your way." These words cheered me up. "Goodbye, Uncle," I cried. "I'm leaving now. We shan't be able to talk to one another after I've left this place. So goodbye." "Au revoir, Axel. Au revoir." These were the last words I heard. This astonishing conversation, conducted through the earth over a distance of nearly 4 miles, ended on this note of hope. I offered up my thanks to God, for He had led me through those huge dark spaces to what was perhaps the only spot where my companions' voices could have reached me. This amazing acoustic effect is easy to explain on scientific grounds. It was due to the shape of the gallery and the conducting power of the rock. There are a good many examples of this propagation of sounds which cannot be heard in the intervening space. The phenomenon has been observed in various places, including the Whispering Gallery at St. Paul's in London, and especially of those curious caves near Syracuse in Sicily, of which most remarkable in this respect is called the Ear of Dionysus. These instances came to my mind, and I realized that since my uncle's voice had reached me, there could be no obstacle between us. Following the course taken by the sound, I was bound to arrive at its starting point, provided my strength did not fail me. I therefore got up and set off, dragging myself along rather than walking. The slope was quite steep, and I let myself slide. Soon, the speed of my descent increased at an alarming rate until it began to be more of a fall. I no longer had the strength to stop myself. All of a sudden, the ground disappeared from under my feet. I felt myself falling down a vertical shaft and bouncing off the projections on the walls. My head hit a sharp rock, and I lost consciousness. Yikes. That's the end of chapter 28. Poor Axel.